Tell me if this sounds familiar. At a young age, some boy or girl loses their entire family and becomes a superhero in order to avenge their parents or prevent a similar tragedy. Oh, classic dead parent trope, how you never fail to be a constant annoyance to superheroes everywhere. Now, there's been this long-running trend that superheroes are portrayed as people who lack families or loved ones, and their significant others seem to be thrown out and replaced almost as often as smartphones. But recently, there seems to be a change in gears for a lot of big-name superheroes like Superman and Spider-Man. Even the film universes are experiencing these changes. Superheroes are starting to have families. And no, I'm not talking about those, oh, we're best friends and we're family! Nor am I talking about the, oh, you're my long-lost relative, but we have no real connection and I'm just here for the shock factor families. Did that make any sense? What I mean are the real, not plot filler, not we'll just get killed in a month families. These families act as really powerful assets to storytelling, if used well, providing greater value to supporting and main characters, and creating new avenues for storytelling. Now, let's talk about supporting roles for a bit. Usually we get a sense that supporting characters can get thrown out and replaced, as most characters that have a role in a protagonist story aren't permanent. This isn't the case in a family setting. For example, just try replacing Aunt May with someone else in Spider-Man's mythos. It just wouldn't work. Even if Peter's biological mother reappeared, May is still Peter's mom. The same would even apply to the more recent Kent family. That is, the new Kents, with Lois and Clark raising John, aka Superboy. Now, how screwed up would it be if Lois Lane suddenly disappeared and was replaced by Wonder Woman? Jonathan would be missing his mom while Superman would be dating this crazy Amazon warrior. Yet, some superhero's girlfriend gets replaced and no one bats an eye. Family gives a sense of expected permanence to a character, which increases a character's value or investment in that character, and as a result, raises the tension caused by their peril. Now, a supporting character's value is determined primarily by their influence over the main character and story. For those of you who have watched One Punch Man, try thinking of what Genos adds to the story. He acts as a sort of anime stereotype, so that Saitama can be highlighted as someone completely different from the norm. The family member, in turn, makes a character more relatable and human. Cue one of the least relatable characters in the entire world. Superman. Now, Superman is the embodiment of invincibility. The man can lift over 200 quintillion tons, fly to Mars, and shoot lasers out of his face. No, not just his eyes, his whole face. He's both literally and figuratively alien in every way other than appearance. But this isn't the case when Superman is around his family. He becomes more vulnerable than if he was staring directly at a box of kryptonite. With a family, Clark Kent prioritizes being a husband and a father before being Superman. Now, families don't only affect aliens either. You don't exactly think of Batman as the caring type. Yet because of his 5 adopted children and 1 actual child, we get moments like these. So much for being a brooding loner. Mind you, this doesn't actually detract from Batman's bad battery either. Let's use this moment as an example. Aw, how sweet. Mind you, Batman traveled to the literal apocalypse to retrieve his son's dead body, bring it back, stab it with a magical ruby in order to revive it. Literally the most heartwarming, bad-bass moment ever. This is why family is great in storytelling, to create these moments of levity, relatability, and humanity in nearly any character. Finally, I want to talk about the best way I can think of to illustrate what family can do for a superhero, which is by comparing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows and One More Day. Now, for those who don't know, One More Day was essentially a universe rewrite just for Spider-Man, and is also one of the most hated comic arcs ever.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Essentially, what One More Day did is that it erased all the previous consequences from the Civil War arc, like Peter revealing his identity, Aunt May's death, and also completely retconned the marriage of Mary Jane Watson and Peter Parker. Now, Renew Your Vows, on the other hand, is an Elseworld story exploring the idea of what life would be like if One More Day never happened. In Renew Your Vows, Peter's family acts as a new phase in his life, a fresh start for possible stories. We've already seen how Spider-Man deals with teenage and young adult life, but we've never seen him as a father. He has a whole new host of things to worry about, like how his actions influence his child and his kid's angsty teen years, among other things. Compare this to One More Day, whose sole purpose was to keep Spider-Man exactly the same. They achieved this by removing Peter and MJ's marriage, with the excuse that Peter's marriage would limit the amount of possible stories, but Renew Your Vows acts as a direct counter to this argument, showing that family is an amazing asset for superhero stories. The only thing you're losing is a character's ability to date. And is that really why you read a Spider-Man comic? Now, the point of this video isn't to say that every superhero should randomly get a family, but what I am trying to say is that family is a really useful asset in storytelling. And this is important because the superhero industry should both realize and use this asset every once in a while. That way they can avoid killing every superhero's parents, just because they can.